Hey everyone, I made it. I am on the other side of a mastectomy and my lymph nodes being removed. It has been about 2 weeks now since my surgery, and as you can see, I'm doing really good. I recorded the journey from the day of surgery through the last 2 weeks, really for the intent of helping other women who may have questions, who may want to know what it felt like, what the procedure was like. So I really hope this is helpful to those women. You will see a clip in the video. I have labeled as a mystery incision. I did not know what that was for. So I will explain that at the end of the video and also include a few tips that may be helpful to some women out there. So I will let the video do the talking.
All right, so today is the big day. It's my mastectomy, so I'm headed to the hospital. So I have to arrive an hour and a half before my scheduled time. I was able to eat 8 hours before my surgery, and I'm able to drink 2 hours before my surgery. So I also had to buy a specific cleaner, like for the shower, to clean like my upper body 2 days before my surgery, which I didn't do. I just did it last night and I did it this morning, so I feel like that was kind of the same. So this is it. So here we go.
All right, so I made it and to the hospital, and I've had what's called a needle localization done on my lymph node. So the first time I had my biopsy, they put a little clip in there, like a marker, so they know which lymph node they took tissue from. So they went back to find that same lymph node, and they put like a needle in and around it so that when my breast surgeon goes in, she knows which lymph node to take out to get tested to see if there's still cancer in it. So the whole process took maybe like 10 minutes. They numbed it. It hurt just a little bit. Some of the pressure hurt, and now I'm very sore. What you can't see is that I have a little like a styrofoam cup over that area because there's still like plastic coming out of the area where they went in, and the cup is so I don't snag it. So it's very awkward and uncomfortable. Again, a little sore, but other than that, now I'm just waiting for the physicians to come in to talk about my plan today. So.
So I am out of surgery. The surgery took about 3 hours. I'm in pain, definitely in pain. They gave me fentanyl a couple of times, and when they transported me to my room, I think that made me a little nauseous. So they've been giving me Zofran, I guess, even in the operating room. I'm in pain like underneath my incision, so I can see it, and I can see the tissue expander. It just looks like almost like an ice cube underneath my tissue, like my skin. So it looks pretty weird. My arm is also extremely sore, kind of like if you've like worked out too much and your arm like hurts from like lifting weights or doing anything with weights. It feels like jelly. So they did end up taking out my lymph node. So if you remember, I was hoping to just like the doctor was going to just like sample a few and see if it had cancer, and if it didn't, she was going to keep them in. Unfortunately, my lymph node that I originally had biopsied did have cancer still in it, so they had to do the full dissection of my lymph nodes. So I can no longer have blood drawn from that arm, from my right arm. I can't take my blood pressure on my right arm. So it's definitely a different story from here on out. So I don't feel really tired. I just feel kind of like, ugh. But it's done. I'm happy to have this part complete. Now it's on to healing. I'll show you more what that looks like as far as even like the healing of my incision, my drains, because I have these bulbs, like they call them grenades, that are filling up with fluid, that are draining from my inside, from that breast area. So I'll show you what that's like. Hope this is helpful to someone. All right, so day one, it's about 9 o'clock in the morning. Day one post surgery, so feeling okay. I do have pain. It's manageable, tolerable. I mostly feel it underneath, like it feels like my rib cage, my upper rib cage a little bit, and underneath my arm where they took the lymph nodes. Still feels really sore. I'm probably more tired than anything. I felt pretty good all night last night. Like I didn't have much pain. They gave me a Percocet last night. And I took another one just now, just to kind of stay in front of the pain. So I'm not feeling bad and then trying to like chase after it and recover from it. So surprisingly, I feel okay. As you can see, my spirits are good. It's just like I'm going to get through this just like I did everything else, just like chemo and neuropathy and losing my hair. It's just another journey, another thing I have to get myself through. All right, well, that's a wrap. So it's about 12 o'clock. Going home, got discharged. Everything was fine. You can still see the markings from my plastic surgeon. I have this pillow just to, make it more comfortable for my breast area. The only pain I'm really having right now is in my arm. Just a little achy, a little tingly. But I just can't believe everything is done and I get to go home. So I'm just really going to take it easy these next few weeks. I'm going to probably just go for a very, very short walk, maybe like a 2-minute walk outside just to kind of get some exercise, make sure I'm mobile and moving around. So overall, not doing too bad. All right, so today is day 2 post-surgery. I'm still feeling pretty good. I was able to get out twice today outside just for like a quick 5-minute walk. The pain I feel today is in my right arm, and I think it's because that's where they removed the lymph nodes from. So I have a real like burning and tingling sensation. You can see this is the mastectomy bra they gave me, and what I have here are drains coming out from the side. So this was just a nice little apron to hold 3 of the drains. So they are all numbered. So like this is number 1 that we're about to drain right now, 2 and 3, and we measure each one to see how much fluid is coming out. So the less fluid, the better. Once it gets to like less than 30 a day, then we can consider getting the drains removed. So I have to do this for about 10 days. Today is Thursday. I had surgery on Tuesday. Today's also the first day that I get to take a shower. So what do you do with these when you take a shower? I will show you quickly what that looks like. All right, so this is how I will plan on showering with the lanyard, with the bulbs. They're just hanging on the lanyard here. You can see that the second one is empty. Number 3 is a lighter color, which is good. Number 1 is the fullest. So we drain these twice a day, once like in the morning and then once in the evenings, like 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock at night. Write down the measurements so that when we go in for my appointment next week, the doctor can see how much fluid is coming out and again decide whether that's at a point where we can just have the drains removed. So other thing that happened I realized is I did get a rash today, and I'm pretty sure it's from like this radioactive dye they had to give me during surgery. It was blue, and I don't say this to be gross, but just sharing because hopefully it helps other people. But like my urine was like bright blue. It was like it looked like Kool-Aid for about like 3 different times when I had to use the bathroom. So just to expect that if you do have to have that radioactive dye, that's something you'll see as well. And again, I think this is just a skin reaction because it happened before when I had to have a dye for like a contrast when I had like my bone scan at the beginning of treatment. You'll also hear that my throat is super scratchy today, so much worse. That's because of the breathing tube they had to use during anesthesia. So again, this is it. This is it for the next 10 days. I get to wear these. All right, so today is day 3 post-surgery. So what's different today than yesterday? Today I'm a little more tired, and I'm a little more pain on the sides where my drains are coming out.
So I can feel that a lot more. It's a little more tight and tender in that area. I mentioned in the last clip on day 2 that I took a shower. So an update on that. That was a ton of work to take a shower. I had, of course, had to have my husband help me because it's very difficult doing things one-handed, and especially when it's your non-dominant hand. So it was so much work. I told him, like, I'm okay showering like every other day because it was just a lot, and we were both tired by the end. I will have to say, I talked about the apron and the lanyard. I actually prefer this much more now overall. So the apron, it's very convenient because the bulbs fit really nicely in there, but it gets really hot. So I would recommend getting 2 of the lanyards if you can. Luckily I did have 2, so that when you're out of the shower and that one's wet, you can just easily switch to a dry one and then let the wet one dry off for the next shower. So anyways, that's pretty much it. I was able to get outside again today just for a little bit. So that's pretty much the updates for day 3. All right, so it has been a week since my surgery and I have been feeling really good. I didn't record after day 3 because it wasn't significant changes that were happening, so I thought I would just summarize what the last few days have been like. So day 4 was the first day. I didn't have to take any pain medicine. So when I say any, I mean I didn't take the Percocet they had been giving me to manage the pain. I was able to just take Tylenol, and sometimes it wasn't even every day, maybe every other. So it was nice to get off of those, off of the pain medicine. The pain that I feel now is mostly in my right arm where they took the lymph nodes out of. So it felt like there was one point a few days ago where I was getting, it felt like electrical shocks in the back of my arm, and it hurt really bad. But it hasn't happened since that day. So it feels sore. After day 4, I could also start moving it more, so I can probably move it to about here now, with very little effort, and it feels okay. I was also able, probably like around day 5, to get myself out of bed on my own. It took me a little while. Before that, my husband and I, what we would do is, since I had surgery on this right breast, my left hand would take his left hand, and then he would use his right hand behind my neck to help pull me up. So by him using his hand around my neck, it really helped me use less effort in my stomach area. So the other couple things is my rash did get worse. So I mentioned in the clip that I think I broke out due to an allergy. It did start to spread to my chest and to my arms, and it was super itchy. I still have just a few bumps left. And that was the worst of it. So the worst that happened is that it was just super itchy. Hot flashes now, with this thing on, it hurt. Like it feels prickly when I start to get a hot flash. And maybe because this thing is so thick, and I feel like I'm getting them more for some reason. So that's just trying to manage that too. So I mentioned the pain I was feeling in my arm. It's weird because I can't actually feel my skin, or my skin can't feel my fingers. When I go like this, I have no feeling here right now. It's been getting better and better. So I want to show you what it looks like. So what my drains look like coming out from my side. So if this isn't something that interests you, you could fast forward a little bit through this part, but this is more for people who are curious, or maybe they're going to go through the same procedure soon. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So hopefully I'll be able to get at least 2 of the drains removed, the ones that aren't really producing a lot of fluid at this point. So other news, really exciting update is my pathology report that came back from the mastectomy. So as I mentioned, they took out all of my lymph nodes in this area, and there were 15 they took out, and only 2 tested positive for cancer. And I'm so excited, clearly, that was it, and those are the only ones that were affected. Okay, so that's all the updates for today. Again, it's been 1 week. I'll probably do one more update after my appointment on Friday with my plastic surgeon, and see if we can get these drains removed and just some of that feedback. That way I can share it with you as well. All right, it has been 10 days since my surgery. This is my first post-op appointment. So I'm going to be meeting with the physician's assistant. hopefully to take a look at the drains, take a look at the recordings of how much fluid was coming out, and I'm really hoping to get some of the drains removed today. So super excited. I'll let you know how that went as soon as I'm finished. All right, good news. So I was able to get 2 of the 3 drains out. So I'm super excited about that. It did not hurt. It felt uncomfortable, and they were surprised I had 3 drains for just the unilateral mastectomy. But she said that's because one of the drains was in my lymph node area, and when she was getting ready to take it out, she said this one's probably going to hurt. It did not hurt. They have you taking a deep breath through your nose, and as you exhale is when they start pulling out the drains. So the other drain probably was a little more tough to get out. I could feel her tugging on it as I was exhaling, but again, no pain at all. So I'm super excited to come back in another week to get the 3rd drain removed. They want to see if I happen to do the measurements and 2 days in a row, if they're less than 30 output, I can call and get in sooner rather than waiting a whole week. So super excited. On to the next thing. Okay, so that's it. That was the last 2 weeks of my journey through healing the mastectomy and the lymph node removal. Hopefully there was some information in there that you found helpful. So you heard me talk about that mystery incision. I had no idea what it was for. And if you noticed in the videos, I talked about myself having like rib pain. That is because they put in a port. So the tissue expander I was initially going to get looked like this. I received a different tissue expander because I have to do radiation, and I guess that would affect the tissue expander where the fluids went in on top. So instead, they put in a port to have the fluids either go in or out, which I had no idea. So similar to the port I had over here that was infected and had to get removed, I now have a port here. It will not be in there forever. It'll be in there as long as I have the tissue expander. So fingers crossed I don't get any infection and everything goes fine through radiation. So a few other things I would do differently is I would use the spirometer like I was instructed to do so. So they had me do it every hour I was awake, 10 times inhaling, and I did not do that, and I felt like I had a harder time breathing, so I really should have been following instruction a lot better. The other thing is my posture. So I wish I would have been more aware of how I was sitting, because I feel like with the mastectomy I had the tendency to just kind of lean over, maybe just babying that area a little bit, but I feel like that hurt my back, so just having good posture through your healing process would be important too. I talked about the apron versus the lanyard. Again, the apron was nice because it lays everything flat and you can hide it underneath a shirt. One of the things that was sent home from the hospital was this little apron, which I actually ended up liking the best because it's very compact and it just kind of hangs there underneath your shirt, which is really nice too. The last thing, if I had to do this again, and I will have surgery again, is to see if my calves, like a pillow can go underneath my calf muscles. That way my heels don't hit that operating table and just sit there for 3 to 4 hours, because that hurt really bad after surgery. That was probably some of the worst pain I felt was in my heels. They were so tender just from not moving around. So that's something I will definitely ask next time if they can do that. So that's the journey. I hope someone found this helpful to them. This is why I do this, is to help other women and to use my illness to do so. So that's all I have. Thanks so much for watching.